Welcome to the Better Pairs Podcast. Join Dr. Jason Fujikawa for his insights on theology, philosophy, culture, and the verbal expressions we use to relate meaning and reality to one another. Make no mistake, this is a podcast for nerds, but particular nerds who are searching for old wisdom made ever new. To learn more about the Better Pairs cultural empire, please visit betterpairs.com. Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Jason Fujikawa. This episode considers the word architecture, a term rich with meaning and verbal resonance that frames our lives and worldviews. It is another episode that Big Lexi, the lexicography cartel, does not want you to hear nor enjoy. If you do enjoy this production, I also ask that you like the episode, subscribe to the podcast if you have not already, and leave us a message in the comments. Your likes, subscriptions, and comments truly help us reach a wider audience. To receive the transcript of each episode and be the first to learn of Better Pairs announcements, please sign up to our newsletter at the bottom of the page at betterpairs.com. To view all the podcast episodes arranged by season, episode number, and topic, head over to betterpairs.com/schedule. Each episode on the list is hyperlinked to assist you with sharing a particular insight with family and friends. Finally, the Better Pairs podcast is offered free through the wonder of the internet, but made possible through the continued contributions of our listener audience. This year, we announced our new crowdfunding program, Better Pairs Leaves. The program is simple and some might say elegant in design. Contribute $12 or more each month to Better Pairs and receive a thank you gold back in the mail. It is like a Patreon, but with fractional physical gold instead of behind the scenes and blooper reels. If you have been listening to the Better Pairs podcast or the Confederal Reserve for some time and recognize that the ideas shared stand out from other offerings of the internet, are worth sharing and worthy of your support, this community-driven contribution program is for you. My appeal is to you. As an additional thank you to our contributors each month from July to December 2024, one lucky supporter will receive a free Better Pairs mug of his or her choice from the Better Pairs Market, in addition to the monthly goldback. To learn more, contribute, and read official rules, visit betterpairs.com/giveaway. Thank you for your continued patronage of attention and Federal Reserve notes, and now, on with the episode. Season 3, Episode 5, Architecture. Discourse on architecture traverses the dual poles of form and function. Our present parley, however, is pitched at the word architecture itself, and what such reflection establishes for our grasp of art, skill, progeny, and projects. The lexicography cartel Big Lexi would cull your wonder over architecture by defining it as the art, science, or even technology of building material structures to be inhabited or otherwise occupied. An architect, as such a practitioner, designs homes, workspaces, and community buildings such as courthouses and churches. Architecture is a compound word, composed of the Greek arche and the root tecture, which resonates both with the Latin tectum and the Greek tecne in a complex verbal stew of meaning which will be addressed momentarily. In its Greek origin and linguistic descendants, arche means both first in the order of being or existence and first in the order of governance. An archetype precedes all other types, from the Greek tύπτω, meaning to strike. In the order of being, archetype is the form against which all other types are literally struck against, as in metallurgy, or the mold against which all other types or forms are pressed into their common structure and design. This temporal priority is the primary sense of John 1:1. In the beginning, arche, was the Word, echoing Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God made the heavens and the earth. The second sense of arche cannot be separated entirely from the first, however, in John's Gospel or elsewhere. Arche signifies priority in the order of governance, as in monarchy and hierarchy, as what is prior in time and existence governs, in some sense, its subsequent effects. Both these meanings of arche apply to our experience of architecture. Functional shelter turns the chaos of an approaching storm into a minor inconvenience and a filled cistern. Architecture is the first art because it forms the living space safe from the elements and enemies of man, in which mere life strives to become the good life. The roof or tectum is the defining aspect here, separating exposure to the heavens through its literal protection or covering. Architecture is the governing art because it shapes the wonder of a society. The underside of the roof becomes a ceiling, a little low heaven governing hearth and home. Architecture can draw the mind and heart upward, as with the Gothic cathedral, and establish the external and internal space for great cultural achievements. Is it too far a step to assert that beautiful architecture is such fertile space, just as architecture deficient in beauty leeches life from soma and psyche alike? As embodied human beings, our passions, and not our powers of intellect and will, remain most closely connected to our bodies. We do not feel an emotion without a bodily response. Perhaps architecture, as an art, skill, or science, is the appropriate analog to the passions, in that architecture must be indwelt and, in this way, consume its beneficiaries at the threshold. The real structure, not the blueprints, are the fruit of architecture, just as notations on a staff are not music but merely its sign and structure. Yet unlike music, which occupies the air for but a moment, the edifice of man marks the earth and resonates the order of creation through the limits of brick and timber. Moving from architecture as architectum to architectne, it will be beneficial to consider what precisely an art, skill, or science is. Human acts, whether voluntary and intentional, or involuntary and perhaps instinctual, can become, over time, through their successive occurrence, habitual. The term habit, from the Latin habere, is used, for one is understood to have or hold a ready disposition to an act, be it virtuous, vicious, or simply biting fingernails. These habits are worn by us, as with a religious habit, daily. They are the subroutines of our life, and come to be known as a second nature. One is not born courageous or wise. One becomes so over time through trial and error, followed by intentional reflection to the point that such virtues become our character, the ethos of what we do in a given situation. The ability to cultivate tecne as a skill or habit to the point of virtuosity, of redefining or reframing our nature, seems phonetically connected to the less aspirated teknon, the aorist middle substantive participle form of the Greek verb tekein, meaning child. The Roman historian Suetonius, in his account of 15 March 44 BC, records the Greek kai su teknon from the lips of Julius Caesar to his betrayer Brutus, and not the Latinate et tu Brute of Shakespearean fame. You also, child, the childless dictator charges his amicus inimicus. Teknon or tekne, to have a child and to develop a skill, are similarly encounters with a divine power beyond our own, and yet every skill, like every child, is ours, yet not completely possessed. A skill can be recalled into oblivion by an untimely accident, mental incapacity, or simple old age. A child must grow into his or her own regardless of paternal tyranny. While tekne at least remains with us as a habit, to what end or purpose does it serve? Do we use our tekne, and by extension technology, to protect the human family and provide space for our real achievements, such as leisure and worship? Or does Neo-Promethean defiance enter into our efforts to advance technology, a monster tekne to replace logos? Architecture, similar to civil engineering, must respond to the natural setting or limits of the world. For example, the sun, weather, bedrock, the weight of materials, and their structural properties. Digital technology must retain some limitations fitted to human nature if it is to remain an anthropological benefit that is, suited to our redemption. The binding image for our intellectual and spiritual edification, uniting tectum roof, tecne skill, and teknon child, is the vision of the New Jerusalem, in which the very foundation and gates of the heavenly city are identified with the tribes of Israel and the apostles of the Lord. The views expressed by Better Pairs contributors are theirs alone, and do not necessarily reflect the views of Better Pairs, its parent company, or any company or organization affiliated with the contributors. For more information, to support Better Pairs, or to shop for Better Pairs merchandise, please visit betterpairs.com.